is Windiarseni Saputri. So
Windiarseni Saputri.
Yes, and then I just read that when she asked berdasarkan teori, well, based on anthropology theory, a child with age between 0 to 7 should listen to the music with the pentatonic scale, not diatonic, because it is said that a child from the age of 0 to 7, they are in the position of the dreamy or unconsciousness. So they should not listen to the diatonic scales. So what do we think? She asked. She asked Bapak Kunjaya and she asked me. Should I answer that?
Sure.
Okay.
Please, Bu. And buat audiens yang lain, teman-teman yang lain, if you have questions, just put it on the Q&A section. We will pick the questions to be answered. And sekarang kita jawab dulu yang dari pertanyaan yang tadi. Silakan, Ibu Devi dan Pak Kun.
What I have studied, Ibu Windiarseni Saputri, no. Actually, a child can listen even though 5 or 4 years old. For example, myself, I was introduced to all kinds of orchestra music by my mother. And I became very imaginative. And so I don't think it is correct to say that terpapar nada yang falas. No, it's not correct, Ibu. Diatonic sounds is actually very, very healing and soothing for a child even when they are still in the mother's womb. So just to listen to pentatonic, I think that is too limiting. That is not correct, I can tell you right away. That's my answer. Jadi tidak benar intinya kalau cuma mendengarkan nada pentatonik, tidak.
Okay.
What about you, Pak Kun?
I'm not the expert of music. So, I don't know about that.
Kita punya yang teman-teman yang udah nanya di awal waktu registrasi ya,
Sure.
Ada yang nanya dari Stefanus Adri. Saya ingin tahu bagaimana peneliti zaman Pythagoras dapat mengetahui bunyi suatu planet, padahal untuk bunyi bisa merambat dan sampai ke telinga kita dibutuhkan media rambat. Sementara itu hampa udara, dark matter, 1 atom per centimeter cubic. Mohon pencerahannya. Thanks.
So he asked, how can Pythagoras can understand and hear the sounds of the planet, because space is vacuum and like dark matter with how can he figure all of that out? And what is his second question is also, what is the good melody that's good for the neurological system, for our neurological system?
So actually, Pythagoras did not hear the sound of the planets. No, he felt. Why he felt? Because he saw that the planets have a repetition. Repetition have a frequency. Frequency of the planets should have some regularities. In the music, there is a regularities between one notes to the other notes. So it is Pythagoras believe that there is a relation between the frequency in the planets and also the frequency of music. So he did not hear, but he feel.
So my answer is, because he felt, this is an answer concerning metaphysics, but this is not the topic of today. So according to the metaphysics, which is also the base to study music, it's actually through what he has felt, he could imagine that is how it should sound. Now that was 2,000 years ago, but nowadays, as we have already discussed before, right, Pak Kun? that the scientists develop and discover the machine in order to convert that vibration into the audible sound for human being, for the human ear, by modifying the frequencies. Okay, I'm not going to go deep into that, but actually they found it actually the planets make sounds from this machine to convert it. Well, very simply explained, it's like this. When you listen to Spotify, you listen to Instagram, whatever audio came out of your applications on the computer or on your smartphone, actually they are data. So sound that has been converted to the data so that it could be transmitted within the application. That is similar, not similar, but the same way how the scientists converted that vibration in the skies into the audible sound for us. So that is why it is true that according to what we also study as musicians, that it is vacuum, one cannot hear. But I would like to emphasize here also that how do we know that people in the 2,000 years ago, if they didn't see a lot more than what we see today or what we hear today? Because it was silence also on the earth. There were no radios, there was no cars, no motorbikes that you can hear every second here. Honking and all that. It was very silent on the earth at that time. Okay.
Can I add something?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
We can imagine when we call someone using our cell phone, we do not hear directly the signal from the cell phone. Yeah. So the cell phone connect to the other cell phone using the radio wave, electromagnetic wave. So in the planets, in other celestial bodies, there is a certain frequency. For example, plasma wave. Plasma wave emits some frequency in electromagnetic wave. Yeah. So the frequency range from very high frequency, gigahertz, for example, up to very low frequency. So the principle of hearing the sound from the planets from plasma wave is similar to the how we can hear the other person voice in our cell phone, although that person is far away from us. So the electromagnetic wave, radio wave from the cell phone pass through the atmosphere. It can pass also through the vacuum, so that we can receive in our cell phone. So in our cell phone, the high frequency is filtered. So it removed all the high frequency, so we can get only the frequency between 20 to 20,000 hertz. So the frequency of electromagnetic wave from 2000 and to 20 to 20,000 hertz, then converted from electromagnetic wave into the sound wave. That's why we can hear it.
Great, thank you for the explanation. And then there is another question from Arif Hidayat Adam. He said, I'm truly fascinated with astronomy and music. Recently, I have my own project called Verse of the Universe. It's a music performance using sound from planet mixing with Sunda lullabies. So Sunda is our traditional West Java folk music. Yeah, Sundanese lullabies, and really wants to join this webinar. I saw his name, he's here. Such an honor to learn from Professor Devi and Dr. Chatief. He asked, which planet has the loudest sound?
Wow. It is difficult to answer that because how can we define loudness of the sound? It's the amplitude of the wave. So the amplitude of the wave is converted in our cell phone, so we can tune up. We can tune how loud we can get. So it is difficult to answer that because we can make it louder, we can make it softer, we can make it lower. Yeah. So I think the celestial body who has a more power will have the louder sound. For example, the sun. The sun should have a louder. The sun should have a louder voice, louder sound when compared to the planets. Yeah.
Well, I agree with what Pak Kun said because it's very difficult to determine. But according to what we have studied, actually the center of our scale is the sun. So I think that the sun is the loudest because the sun would be the frequency of note C. And this is what I have studied at least. And then the frequency of tone F is the moon, and the G is the Geo, which is Terra, which is the earth. That's why in music you often hear we call it in the theory is degree, first degree, fourth degree to fifth degree, moves around that, and a lot of pop music is written that way.
And now next to the question from Valentina Febriani Tando. Beliau adalah sarjana kedokteran, so medical graduate, and she asked, music, cosmos, and the development of psychology, how can all of that relate and be used to the therapy for human diseases?
I am a music therapist myself, so I can say that it is related. We can very well help the doctor to heal or to recuperate the patient. And if I would explain this in accordance with the music therapy science or music therapy knowledge, I think it would take too long. But yes, of course, it's very much related because we deal with a human being, and a human being is not just based on body or the physical appearance, but also the soul and the astral body and all that. So we'll talk about this the next time because it's a very long topic and we are going to talk about the music therapy.
All right, and let's read the question from the Q&A. From Umbu Tonga. Was there any historical evidence, I suppose? Was there any historical evidence about the invention of music found in other cultures besides Greek? If yes, did the discoveries contradicted one another or complementing? Thank you.
I'll put it this way. The Western music developed until today to pop and rock and all kind of a genre except the traditional music developed from the Greek culture. And then of course there was other music, but it was not called music at that time. It was called sound. For example, the Aborigines from 12,000 years, like 11,000 years ago until today, they play the traditional instrument, which is called didgeridoo. You know, the didgeridoo, a very long, you call it a wind instrument. And it makes only one tone. So that is older than the discovery of Pythagoras. And then the other one is a pentatonic scale. For instance, in China, you hear, and then you hear in India, from the sitar you can hear, this is India, and then this is Japan. Okay. So this different kind of sounds existed in the different countries, but then when they started to do the trading through Uzbekistan, for instance, you know, the West meets East in medieval, then during the Marco Polo time, so they also trade their knowledge. So there are many historical evidence about other kind of music, which is not called music at that time. It was sound or melody based on their own language. I mean, their native language from each country or each area. But music as the expression or the name music was developed by the Greeks. And that is the origin of the word music itself comes from muses, the 9 muses who are in Greek mythology, the 9 daughters of the god Zeus, the muses. And then it became musiki and music. Yes, there are many historical evidence. I recommend you to also study, well, you read about pentatonic scales, or in Africa, for instance. Oh, yeah, African music or sound. It was not called music at that time.
So next we have a question from M.Th Lestari. We are aware there are 2 calendar systems, lunar and solar. I wonder if there are also varied interpretations of music based on lunar and solar system, or is it completely unrelated?
I hope that Pak Kun can help me also on this, because the lunar system, we call it as 11 months, 11 months of, not eclipse, but I mean the orbit, yeah? And then solar system is 12 months of orbit. That's also really different. Well, this is a very complex harmony, melody, and rhythmical arrangement, if I'm going to give you an example. But to explain that how it developed, that would take also a very long time. But it is very much related. For instance, if you are going to play something like lunar, you know, like lunar sound, then you would play something like this. So it's more melancholic and sometimes quite sad or gloomy, but it doesn't have to be. Now the solar, okay, the sun. For instance, our children's song like Hai Beca, that is solar sound. But if we sing lunar song from the Kus+, for instance, you for sure you know the song, you remember? Ku nyalakan api di dalam tubuh, ingin sekali malam itu. You remember that song? This is lunar. It's a bit melancholic. It's for sure it's just not solar sound.
I like the melancholic moon. Where's Bayu? How come he disappeared? Bayu, where's my co-host? Okay, so
yes, I'm here.
There you go. Where are you, bro?
Listening, I'm here. Good.
Another question. Subianto Wiryo Atmojo.
Yeah.
When Kepler wrote his Harmonices Mundi, did he actually make physical measurements on the frequency of the planets, or did he perhaps derive his scale intervals using his 3rd Kepler's law? Thank you. He enjoys this seminar. Thank you.
Okay. Well, according to music, yes, he made a physical measurement. That is why, actually, what we play here on the piano is also mathematic. Just shortly, this is major 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, major 7, octave. It is all mathematical calculation, half step, whole step. So music is actually developed from mathematics, from geometry, from cosmology.
Yes, Actually, I have present some equation relating the frequency and distance to the planets. Yes, Kepler used the measurement of the position of the planets. Yeah, but actually, most of the data was collected by Tycho Brahe, his senior. So from the measurement, he can calculate the change of the speed of the planets, the orbit, can from the change of the speed of the orbit, can define, hello,
Hello,
it's
Pak
not
Kun.
moving, it's okay?
Yes.
Yes?
Now it's
Did
okay.
you hear?
Yeah, now we can hear
Okay.
again.
Okay, so from that he derived the Kepler law, 1, 2, 3. And the third law, which can convert from the distance to the period and then to the frequency. Yes, Kepler used mathematics, measurement, mathematics, and call it to music.
Next question. We have a lot of questions from Adi Mantaranagaha. In Indian religions such as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism has this sacred sound called Om. I do that every night. They claim this is the sound of the sun. Is it the same as the sound of the sound, as Professor Deviana mentioned in the presentation? You mean, is it the same as the sound of the sun, right?
I recommend to the questionnaire to read the book which is called Nada Brahma from Professor Behrens. So that was written by a German Professor Behrens. He wrote the book Nada Brahma. It explains very, let's say, meticulously. He studied that the Hinduism and so on, so on, so on. Yes, the Om is actually the what they believe is the frequency of the sun. That is why it's when they say Om, and that certain frequency of that Om vibrate and resonate with our body.
Mm.
And if we talk about this Om, we have to go back to the Mohenjo-daro, to the Indus Valley, how it was developed, because according to the Hinduism has the 4 main Veda, which is Rig Veda, Ayurveda, Samaveda, and each book consists of around 800 pages. And it was not found by one person, but it was a fusion of many, many ancient beliefs into the Hinduism. So if we want to talk about Om itself, it will take also a very long time. But yes, I can say that Om is derived from the frequency of the sun. And it is, it's light. It's enlightening. That's why Om.
But I think the frequency of Om can be differ depending on
Yes.
who say that. Yeah, for a man, adult, they can say Om, but for girl, maybe obvious. Yeah, the principle, right?
Censor. Okay.
It's even worse when you say it this way.
I actually have I found a video online as well. It's interesting. There's this crying baby, and the father hummed Om, and the baby just, it stayed quiet in like minutes. So
Well, I can say it's not only the frequency, but it's also the vocal.
yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
And in the vocal language, for instance, when you teach the students to sing, there is a vocal like A, E.
O.
Yeah, but in Indonesia we say A, E, I, O, U. Mention A, E, I, O, U. It gives us a certain
Vibration.
For instance, if you listen to oh, it's very calming.
It's very common.
But that is something else, right? Or that is why in our language we don't say aha, we say right, to emphasize that we disagree. When we disagree, we don't say right? I disagree with you. I disagree. No. Well, let's not go there because it is also another topic. But I see here one question, and this is a very interesting question from Nurul Rizal about the contemporary era, and then he mentioned about a lot of genre.
So from Nur Khairul Rizal, sorry if we pronounce it wrongly. Hello, in the contemporary age, music has branched out to different variety of genre, jazz, rock, what's dangdut in English, like folk, hip hop, traditional, metal, emo, classic, electronic, punk, etc. In this discussion relating to music and the cosmos, the variety of genre that is so diverse, what would that represent in the cosmic structure?
Pakun?
I don't know. So such a relation.
You ask Pakun about planets, he knows it.
Yeah, this is about jazz, about the rock, and how it relates to the sky. It is, I think, Budev knows better.
Well, I don't know better too.
I think it's different frequencies than you think.
No, I would explain it this way, okay, to Nur Hurul maybe. Sorry if I also pronounce it the wrong way. I'll explain it this way, okay? What was discovered before became, just to explain to you very simple. What was discovered by the scientists from the before Christ, BC, to the AD, Anno Dominus, and now we call it BCE, before Common Era, to the Common Era. This is what they discovered. The major scales. And it is known in Indonesia normally, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. Okay. So this do, re, mi, fa, si, lo, si, do. But it went through 1,000 years of development in different cultures, and the cultures fused with the trading, with journey, with the voyage, with all kinds of encounters. So when we developed this into classical music at that time, in the Baroque, for instance, so from Baroque, that's how they compose based on this and based on this. 12 tones and diatonic, which is the 7 tones, which is major scale. Now, it developed differently in Japan, for instance. Sakura, right? That is traditional. And then if we play the pop song of the Japan using the pentatonic, you know, remember the song Sukiyaki?
Yeah, Sukiyaki.
Right? Okay, and then I use this, but not the whole major scale, but just the pentatonic, and then developed in China, became the pop music, for instance, this. It has to be high. Wang pu liao, wang pu liao, wang pu liao, yeah, this is what the 60s pop song. Or in the Beijing opera. So it's a... Right? No, this is true. I'm not making fun of it. This is how it sounds. Yeah, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then it developed further in, let's say, from classic, from this Baroque time, and it goes from Chopin, and then travel to United States of America. They kidnapped a lot, millions of the Africans, and then they made them slaves in the 16th century, and then it became like this. Wade in the water, wade in the water, spiritual. And then when they were deliberated and they were free, they were not slave anymore. So, oh happy day. And then from this oh happy day, and all this become close your eyes. You know the Michael Jackson song, right? So it developed further. It became jazz, it became pop, it became funk and R&B and soul and so and so and so that. And of course, all of this genre developed from what we have explained before, from the discovery and the invention of Pythagoras to Kepler. But if we talk about the genre, of course, we have to talk about the culture, not about astronomy here. Culture, you know, it developed from different cultures.
Pak Kusmayanto Kariman asks, "Fly Me to the Moon. Is it a cosmos-based song or is it just a love song?"
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars, right? You want to play among the stars. That means the composer was in love with someone. So it's a plain love song.
It's a plain love song. Okay.
Yes.
Answered. Next. Is it true, from Arif Madam, is it true the kind of sound which can trigger our pineal gland is the minor one?
It is connected to medical.
Pineal gland. Pineal gland is the
Mata
third
ketiga.
eye.
Well, you have to ask. You have
It's
to ask
astronomy.
them.
You need to
have to.
start meditating, Pak Gon. Then you will know what is the pineal gland.
I think we have to ask the yogi, the yoga master.
Yeah.
But I can answer this. Is it true the kind of a sound? What kind of a sound? Which
I
can
think
trigger?
pineal gland is A. So we
Okay.
are each of our chakra has different frequency, and that's why the Tibetan bowls resonate with each of our with our body. So each of the chakra also have the different frequency. You can Google it and check. I can't remember, but as far as I remember, is the pineal gland kalau nggak salah A.
I can explain that.
Okay, please do.
But just in a very simple manner. Yeah, we're not going to that specifically. This C, according to the 7 chakra, C is red, which is the color of your sex. That is why a lot of pop song is written in C, because this is the most perceivable by the vast majority of ordinary people. Okay. Now D is orange. That's why a lot of monks use orange as their robe. And this E is yellow, which is the color of the solar plexus. And then F is the color of our heart. And then G is the color of our it's green, and this is blue, the color of our neck and vocal cord. That's why the blue is the color of inspiration and then messages, because people talk through here. Then the A is the color of the indigo pineal gland, which is the third eye here. And then B is purple, is the crown chakra. And that's why for musicians, all kind of instruments, sometimes they say that it's very difficult to play music with in the key of B, this B. For us pianists, it plays mostly on the black keys. So we have to really train extra in order to, so that this is the tone A, yes.
I have to fix it. I just Googled it. So
Yes.
root chakra is A. Sacral chakra is B. Solar plexus is C. And lower heart, heart, and upper heart is D. Throat is E. Brow is F. So the pineal gland is the F frequency. And then the crown chakra is G.
Good, and that is a new discovery, or what I don't know what it is, but what I have studied is that according to the ancient knowledge. Well, I mean, of course, we can discuss about this later. The ancient knowledge is combined with
Our
the
friends from India can answer that too. You all should know, right? Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like I thought it was A, but can be many different things. Indra has a question and he wants me to ask. Mana tadi? Jazz. Is there any jazz? A question from Radinal Indra. Is there any jazz approach in interpreting the cosmos? And what is the difference in music structure between classical and jazz interpretation about the universe or the cosmos?
Wow. Okay, I think that I would just play an excerpt. If it is according to Cosmos in the classical manner, let's us play something like a children's song, okay, like Bintang Kecil, the small stars. And I would choose specifically the key of E flat. Okay. Actually, it's a very simple song. Now we make it really spectacular, right? So, this is in a classical manner from the 18th to 19th century. If we are going to approach Bintang Kecil with jazz manner, I mean jazz that is also very wide, swing jazz for instance, swing. Okay, I choose the note G because G is very lively and it sounds joyful. And so forth and so forth. So there's a completely different approach, but using the same knowledge. Because it's from the different culture, that's all. But actually it comes from the same source.
Thank you Bu Devi, keren banget tadi. Bedanya kerasa banget.
Rasa ya.
Ya.
Okay.
Oh, I see my friend here from India, Arjun Sagar Gupta.
He said also minor is a relative interval, not a single frequency.
Yeah, well, that's not a question, I think actually a statement, right? Arjun, how are you? Hopefully fine. And so, and it's very nice that you joined here.
There a question again from Arif Adam. If the planet movement in solar system converted into a song, what kind of genre song we can hear? Happy or gloomy? Which planet will represent the minor?
Moon.
It will be gloomy dong.
Yeah. Or a minor.
Minor.
Yeah, because if you talk about Venus, also according to music, Venus is right, and Mercury is happy. Earth can be too. Like what Arjun said, is also minor is a relative interval. Right. What he meant is that this is the interval, and it has a relation, which this is the minor and this is the major. And we use this. Where do I begin to tell the story of a Actually, a
Can you
happy
play
song.
a song Moon?
Moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yang sedih-sedih itu Indonesia kan it's a happy song.
Yeah,
We want
I
sad
know.
songs.
I'm
Indonesia
just
loves sad
kidding.
songs. You know, we all love soft, pop, sad songs.
Sad song? Okay. Sad song, moon.
Make
So
us
I
all
will,
this afternoon.
the minor. Minor. I will be using the minor. Okay. Okay.
Ntar lagi ganteng di kontok ya.
But this doesn't
Okay,
have to be
okay.
like this. Also in R&B, it can be sad as well. For instance, if you use this then. When you leave me now, I will be so sad all the time. You see, even with the rhythm, you use a sad lyrics and use a couple of, not just couple, but I mean more on the minor nuance, and then it becomes sad as well.
Earth song? Or I'm
Earth
always
song?
Earth song.
Earth. Okay,
Yeah.
Earth. Earth.
Uli Hermansyah is Earth.
That's Earth song.
Dan lagu tadi dipersembahkan untuk Uli Herinansyah yang merasa dirinya bumi. Prok, prok, prok. Banget kan lagunya? Lu banget bro, lu abis. Katanya saya Venus. Katanya Uli saya Venus. Masa sih?
Oh, Venus. Kalau gitu Venus gini dong.
Uli said I'm Venus. I like it. I like it. That's nice. That's cool.
Well,
Groovy.
I orchestrate as well, for the symphony orchestra.
Dini Lestari, I really enjoy this webinar. Bu Devi and Pak Kun really amazing. Yay! Well, here's my question. There's a lot of planetary system in our universe. If I use the same method as the Greek back then and apply it on different planetary system, is it possible to get a new sound? Thank you so much. We're gonna need James Webb to help us with that, I think.
So I think it is also possible because almost every celestial body has its own frequency. Yeah, so we can see all of the universe is just like a symphony. Each body have their own frequency and they emit all of their frequency. So we can confirm, of course, the solar system, not solar system, stellar system. Yeah, stellar system, which has a planets there, and we can measure the period, and then from the period we can also measure the distance between the stars and the planets, and from that data we can convert what frequency are they have. Such a frequency, of course, we can transfer into tone, into music. Yes.
We know we have this. We have this. Based on the discovery.
Yeah.
So according to what Pak Kun has explained, from the stellar sound, not just our solar system, but I mean, we go further. Like in the Star Trek, for instance, you go to Klingonian and you go to Vulcan and then you go to Romula or Nibiru planet. Maybe we might discover another scale and then you can use it. For instance, like now I'm combining the 12 tones with the diatonic at the 7 major scale. It sounds very, very dissonant. I would not recommend. But if you want to know further about the dodecaphony, which is composing music using 12 notes, the chromatic scale to 12 notes, developed by Arnold Schoenberg, the classical composer. Read about it, so then you can see that how he composed using matrix, with also his knowledge about astronomy, a basic knowledge, of course, and then he developed a 12-tone system, which means each tone is the primary, it's the key. There's no one key and you go from there with the cadence, but all the 12 notes is the key. Or maybe Pak Kun will teach me the astronomy, and then one day we sit together and then we found another movement of the celestial bodies. And then we developed the sound, and then by the help of Pak Kun, something like this, or for me, this sounds very pleasant and very calming.
Yeah, that's nice. Well,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, I think we can explore many exotic celestial body. For example, the star cataclysmic variable. So this is double star. So they move around each other, and the frequency is very high. But there is also the highest frequency may be the pulsar. Pulsar move very fast. In 1 second, then rotates maybe many times, maybe 100 times, 200 times. And it gives very high frequency. If such a very high frequency, I don't know how do we convert into the high frequency music. But I think we can explore. Maybe we can cooperate to create a new music based on the movement of exotic body in the sky. Thank you.
And we will discover more as James Webb plans to launch next year, ya Pak ya. They will discover new galaxies. So it will be very interesting once it replaces the Hubble. So we will have more data set, and there will be more astrophysicists turning it into music, seperti Matt Russo. It will be interesting to listen to the voice, to the sound of the other galaxies. Next question is from Richard Nago. I want to ask Professor Deviana why in jazz music it's identical with the circle of fourth, and in the classical music in the circle of fifth. What is the relationship with the cosmos?
Actually, jazz and classical music both are based on fourth and fifth, because fourth and fifth is the two intervals that makes an octave. So you can find the interval of perfect fifth or circle of fifth in the circle, like circle of fifth, circle of fifth, or circle of fourth. You can find it in both genre, classic and jazz. And then the mood of each musical scales, right? Can you please repeat again the question? I forgot the other one.
The other one, why jazz is fourth and why classical music is fifth? What's the relationship between both of it with the cosmos?
Well, both fifth or fourth, you find it in the classical music and also in jazz. They are, of course, they are related because there is actually one entity. We just take out a part of it when we explain the circle of fourth and the circle of fifth. And then the relation to cosmos, actually, I have already explained it before, that the cosmos, the discovery of the ancient scientists and the scientists from the medieval to the Renaissance to the Baroque to the classical and to the 20th century until today to the 21st century. Every music is based on the cosmos, regardless of any genre. I can give you one example. In pop music, most of the pop music, the melody is based on interval of circle of perfect fifth. You always hear that. This is perfect fifth interval. You hear it in almost pop song, every pop song. So I think this is based on their intuition. For musicians who did not study music, it's based on the from listening to other music and so on. So it developed within her or himself kind of an understanding of music that is based on perfect fifth, the interval. Yes, it is from the cosmos. And it's not only related, but it is a one entity, perfect fourth and perfect fifth and circle of fourth and circle of fifth. It's the same thing. It's the same scales, but played it differently, different direction. And it was explained already by Pak Kun before, the backward and forward moving of the celestial, and aphelion and periphelion, which is further and closer. So it's the same. It's an orbit, but you orbit sometimes in a different way.
The retrograde.
Retrograde, yes.
Yeah, very good.
Exactly.
But Dewi Lestari asked, what is the sample? What's the name of the song that was sad that you played?
That was spontaneously composed here.
There you go. She just played it. And then another question from Uli. What about chaos? What is the sound of a black hole? Well, we took a picture of a black hole just earlier in the year, I think. Was that earlier in this year or last year? I can't remember. But how's that data going on, Pak Kun?
It is very difficult to take a picture of the black hole because it is very small in other galaxy. So it takes a telescope with the size of the Earth. How can we have such a big telescope in the size of the Earth? So actually, it is composed of many radio telescopes in many places in the Earth, and they observe the same object, and that is the black hole, and they observe together, and then they add the picture from they get from each radio telescope in several continents. Yeah, so because we get one picture from a very far away radio telescopes, so the distance between two radio telescopes expressed means equal to the radius of the telescope. So the resolution is very high. Such a high resolution, with such high resolution, we can get the image of the black hole. But it takes many months to generate the picture. We convert from radio signal into the visual. It is a visualization of the radio signal.
So the visualization of the radio signal that comes from it has certain data set as well, and usually the sound of cosmos will be converted to music using that data set, right?
Wow, that's I think nobody tried that. Maybe Bu Devi can try that.
I think that's what Matt Ross are doing, right?
Yeah.
That's what he does. He uses the data sets and he converts that to music. But I just want to share to all of you that the women that engineered the whole black hole picture stitching she's 29-year-old, by the way. Her name is Catherine Bowman. So you have to see how much terabyte she compiled to stitch that one black hole picture, and that's such an enormous contribution to the astronomical world, because we've never seen a black hole picture before, and that actually proved Einstein theory right. So to celebrate women in STEM, to celebrate women in space, Google Catherine Bowman. She's young scientist, postdoctoral researcher at Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, and she's a graduate student of MIT. Yeah, so that's the black hole. But does it have a sound? Do we know how it sounds, Bu Deviana?
I can only use my imagination because I haven't yet heard any black hole sound. But if I would interpret the black hole sound, it would sound like this. But it is just an imagination of a musician. That's how it would sound.
Sounds spooky.
It's a black hole.
Hey, who knows? We go into another dimension, right?
Right.
So, I have one more question. I'll take one more question from Mbak Indra, and then we can probably close the session, right? By wrapping up everything. I have my own question too. So, could Professor Deviana play the sound of a shooting star, please? This is from Indra Subardi.
Sounds of what? Shooting star?
Yeah. Does a shooting star have a sound? Have
A shooting star. Well, let me imagine. So yeah. Okay. That's how it would sound, you know, the shooting star.
Okay, Tante Indra, that's how it sounds. I think the moon sounds better. It sounds more
Indra, if you want to hear the whole, let's meet and you sit here beside me, then I play that whole for you. No, I just happen to know Ibu Indra, that's why. Indra Subardi kan ya?
Yeah, Indra Subardi.
Yeah, I will play next time for you the whole shooting stars.
Why don't you play the whole solar system?
No. Oh yeah, next time.
You do a whole solar system in a concert for the next webinar, maybe, right? That will be interesting, and Pak Kunjaya can tell the statistics of it.
I am only going to play in a concert if Pak Kunjaya would sing with me too.
Yeah, right.
But at least one or two songs, Pak Kun. I mean, we have explained about the relation between astronomy and music. I think it would be such a great idea if a doctor, the PhD holder of astronomy, and a PhD from the music. So we do the concert. I mean, you just sing one song, and it proves that all of what you have explained that you can sing it too. Just one simple pop song of your favorite.
Yeah.
Akun actually has a nice temper.
No.
We tested yesterday. Remember, you sang do re mi fa sol la si do, and I heard that your voice is soothing. Actually, you should sing more.
Oh, actually, one more. Is there any knowledge about this topic that is known by composers like John Williams? And what are the examples? Oh, John Williams award winning. Actually, I was about to post something like that on the Instagram feed. There's John Williams had a Lifetime Achievement Award presented by Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. And it's short speeches, but I'll post it on our timeline. And they mentioned something about, music in space and...
Very short. John Williams is a fan of Gustav Holst. And of course, John Williams holds a master's degree in music. He studied music, and he studied with several professors. And he was a jazz pianist, while he was working in the movie studio, he was playing gigs, or a lot of gigs, jazz gigs, of course. And John Williams, I'm a fan of John Williams because I think that we share a similar perception of how music should sound, right? And then, well, if you want to know a lot more about John Williams, I recommend you to study the music of Gustav Holst. Gustav Holst, who wrote the suite of the orchestra, which is the planets. I can only tell you that Gustav Holst also studied Hinduism, the Sanskrit language. That is why he developed further with his knowledge, not only in his language, but also in Sanskrit, which is the language of the ancient India. So that's my answer. Thank you.